Hello, Rebecca Rhodes here. Today, you'll see an accelerated version of how to paint this Australian Shepherd in watercolor. We'll begin with the eyes, nose, and mouth, taking them almost to completion. Getting these features in first helps to establish the personality, and it provides a boost in confidence. First, we'll lay in a pale gray map of what will be the darkest lines and shapes, including the pupil. This is the first layer of brown, and it will go darker. I'm reinforcing the darkest parts to keep track of where they are. Here I'm laying in where the darkest brown will be in the inner corners and around the edge of the iris. Refine the lighter value of brown, and these eyes are almost finished. Next, move to the nose. I'm creating a pale map of where the darkest parts will be. This represents the lightest value of gray, followed by another pale layer of gray, working around the lightest parts. We'll continue to apply thin layers of color, allowing drying time between each application. Layer by layer, establish the dark, mid-tone, and light values, all the while creating the impression of contour and taking the nose darker overall. By the end of the process, this nose is almost finished. And we'll move to the mouth. I'm creating a pale gray map of what will be the dark lines and shapes. Here I'm going around the teeth. This is the first layer of pink in the tongue. I'm reinforcing the darkest parts. And then the mid-tones, not quite as dark. Layer by layer, refine the color and create darker values in the tongue. We'll return to make more refinements when the surrounding colors are in place. Moving into the face, we'll begin with the foundational colors, the lightest values. This is what will be the brown fur. Sometimes I'm creating fur-like edges, and at other times filling in shapes with brown. You want to keep these applications pale, leaving room to go darker. Next, we'll move into what will be the black shapes, using thin layers of gray. Keep your applications pale so that you can go darker. This is the first of what will be several layers as we gradually create a darker black. Focus on one shape at a time, creating fur-like edges. And take your time. It's going to appear sloppy, and that's okay. The idea at this stage is to create a map of what will be the brown and black shapes. This is a pale brown map of fur. It will take the brown parts a little darker and serve as a guide as we refine the color and value. I'm applying another layer to what will be the black fur, taking it a little darker. Once again, create hair-like edges, filling in shapes. I'm giving attention to where the black transitions into the brown. Focus on one shape at a time. This still appears sloppy, and that's okay. It's part of the process. We've got more layers coming, and by the end it will make sense. Returning to the brown, I'm creating another layer of fur. And then gently apply a glaze, a thin layer of yellow ochre, to refine the color and slightly smooth everything. Before continuing with the black shapes, I'll refine the darker values around the eyes. This will serve as a guide as we continue to go darker in the fur. I'm creating hair-like markings, as well as thin layers of gray to take some shapes a little darker. This is our third layer of black. I'm focusing on one shape at a time. Lay in what will be the darkest part of the shape. Then the lighter values. I'm creating fur-like markings. Here I'm carefully working around what will be the brown fur. This is looking disjointed, isn't it? But it will come together. The idea is to take these black areas darker in preparation for the even darker fur to come. We are now in the final layers of black, and this is where things begin to come together. Layer by layer, we're going darker, applying fur or gently laying in color. Apply darker and lighter values, creating the impression of contour and curve. With each layer, we're creating a darker value of black. The key is to allow each layer to dry before refining and use a gentle touch, barely touching the brush to the paper. And the black fur has come together. It's now time to create textures and fur in the white parts. I'm creating pale gray hairs, the consistency of water to tea. Underneath the nose, I've applied thin layers of gray, and now I'm laying in some gray hairs. Here, I'm softening the fur with my clean, damp brush. Use a gentle touch with just a bit of water on the brush. Create pale shapes of gray, softening edges into the white of the paper. You can barely see these shapes, but it will help to create contour and bone structure. Moving into the final refinements, I'll apply some darker values in the mouth, plus thin layers to refine the pinkish tongue. A bit more refining around the eyes. Soften the fur with glazes of water or thin layers of color. Refine the transition of black into brown with tiny bits of fur. I'm cleaning up the tips of the black fur with thin, fine hairs. And now for the whiskers. I'm using pale gray, anchoring my hand to the table, using the tip of the brush to create a nice thin whisker. Take your time, creating curving whiskers of different lengths. And there it is. This Australian Shepherd is finished. I invite you to visit our online school where you can watch the entire step-by-step painting in real time inside the membership. I hope you found this video helpful and enjoyable. Thanks for watching.